Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here, and we are back with podcast 213. I have the only Lord Commander himself, Mitch Gitelman. Is that pronounced? Is that correct?
That was perfect.
Perfect. Okay, just making sure. I just wanted to.
Gitelman. No.
The Lord Commander.
Brilliant.
Yeah. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah. I'm happy to be alive. How are you?
I'm doing well, alive. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a little bit crazy, man. Like the world we live in, but that's life, right? So
well, doing game development from home is a different animal,
right? You know, it's so weird because
it's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I've been remote, I guess, since I started all this. So I've always just been remote, and
Right.
I guess the sort of online perspective. How has that been? Well, before we even go down that route, because
Sure.
first off, how are you doing, and how is the family doing? Like, how has this been for you guys as far as the COVID and being at home together?
Yeah. Well, I'm very lucky. You know, I have a job. Well, let's start there. I have a job, and I have a job that I can do from home. It's harder from home, but I can do it. And you know, running a studio is hard. Being a game director is hard. Doing both at the same time is hard. Doing it from home where everybody's remote, okay, that's double secret hard. And then everything else, including, you know, I don't know if you knew, out here in Seattle, there were all of these wildfires in Washington and in California. And there was time we were doing this milestone for a new game we're not going to talk about, but we were trying to deliver this milestone, right? And we can't breathe. You know, you can't, you know, it's like, okay, you're stuck at home. We can't even go outside. And there are people wearing their COVID masks in their houses because smoke was getting into their houses. It's just one thing after another. But the studio's doing well. My team's doing well. I'm fine because I'm a little Energizer bunny who drinks. And the family's cool. My whole family moved back in with me. I had gotten rid of all of them. Sorry, I meant they had all moved on. And then they all moved back in for a while. And then, okay, everybody's back out again. One of my kids is here temporarily. But all in all, good. And I got a huge dog who keeps me company all day, every day. You know, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking.
Oh, I mean, like I said, it's affected us all. I mean, you know, like,
oh yeah,
my wife lost her job and then had to find another job, and then, like, I mean, all this. I mean, whether you've had family members, we've had family members that have passed away, you know, and stuff. So it's just one of those things where it's affected everyone. And obviously, you guys live in the Pacific Northwest, and the wildfire is obviously affecting you, which I think, I mean, it's not surprising just because there's woods everywhere, but it's also surprising because of how big it was, right? And the impact and just the scale of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just one thing after another. And yet, I mean, it's a really good group that I work with, really good group, tight group and stuff. And we've hired like over 20 people during COVID, even because we're expanding, you know. BattleTech, we were all one team. Now we've got two teams.
Sure.
We're working on two things simultaneously. So imagine joining a game company, you know, having never actually physically even shaken hands with anybody. It's just, you know, it's just wild. But one step at a time, put one foot in front of the other, and we just do it. And like I said, you know, we're luckier than a lot of people, and we know, and so we don't whine much because we know, you know, there are people out there really hurting.
Yeah. So I've known you for a few years. We got to meet a few times at MechCon, and obviously we've had podcasts before, but I feel like I would like to maybe take a step back further for the audience here, because I'm genuinely curious about you and where you came from. So, like, obviously I joke around a lot about like Mech Commander and me knowing you for Mech Commander. Can you take me before that journey? Like, were you already in games development? Who were you working for? How did Jordan Wiseman and you link up? I don't think I've ever actually had that story.
The story? Oh, buckle up, honey, because it goes back almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see. Let's start this way. Once upon a time in in Chicago in the very early 90s, I was a management trainer, right? I traveled the Midwest doing what they call stand-up training. I would teach classes
Okay.
on how to manage people, performance management,
Okay.
interviewing skills, stuff like that. And but I had always been into role-playing games, paper and pencil games, and I had, worked off and on for some game companies doing event type things and running games, you know, sort of professionally, like the official demos and stuff. And I fell in with Mayfair Games. They do Settlers of Catan.
Okay. Yeah.
But
we have that.
Back at that time, they were doing role playing games, right? And a friend of mine was the head of R&D there, and he conceived of this really cool role playing game called Underground. You guys should look it up. It's the very first color role playing game.
Gotcha.
Like, I remember back when role playing games were just black and white.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was the first 4-color role playing game. That was one of its claims to fame, and on slick paper. And it was a really cool game. And so I helped develop that game. And then I wrote a couple of the supplements, the key supplements that came out for that game. It was really, really cool and very, very forward thinking and dark. Oh man, it was dark. But anyway, and that was 93 that came out.
Okay.
And while we were doing that, this guy who was in charge of R&D, he said, we should get into video games. Like, why? It's like, because they need people like us, and there's probably a career path there and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. And I mean, really, okay, sure, yeah. Let's do that. And so we went to the Consumer Electronics Show. There was no such thing as any game development shows. There was no such thing as anything. E3 didn't exist. Nothing existed. But we went to the Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago, and we didn't pay to get in. What we did was we went there and got
I don't know why that.
Before the web. Yeah. This is before the web. Before the web.
Yeah.
It's like, ow, this whole story is starting to get painful already.
It's all right.
We went there and we got the guidebook, right, of all of the companies that were at the show. That's why we went. And we got the guidebook and we went home and we made a trifold brochure of what our company could do for your company, right? Mm-hmm. Our freelance game development company, game design company. It was complete fabricated bullshit. We made up a name for the company. We had business cards that we this is back when desktop publishing was first invented, right? And so we got one of the very first color printers ever made. And we started just making these brochures, and we sent them out to 70 video game companies. And we said, hey, we're going to be at the Summer Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And we'd like to meet with you. We sent 70 companies, and exactly 10% returned. Seven companies said, yeah, we'd be happy to meet with you. Okay. And so we flew out to Las Vegas, and that's a story in and of itself. But went out there, and I just started bullshitting. I mean, it was just, oh my God. I knew absolutely nothing about video game development, but I was kind of the pitch guy. I was kind of the face guy. What can my company do for you? And one of those companies was Sony.
Okay.
And they were working on a 3D game, and for an unannounced video game platform. And so they gave us a bunch of money to write a treatment. They said, we have an idea for a game and it's already sort of up and running, but tell us what you would do with this. And we wrote a 60-page sort of outline. This is what this game could be about. We wrote it in a weekend.
Wow. Okay.
Right? And they paid us a lot of money for a weekend's worth of whatever. And it was a good negotiation. And we sent it in, and we never heard anything back, just sort of crickets. And this is Sony Interactive Europe. And then one day, I'm like, what is the deal with these guys? So I call them. They're 9 hours ahead. I had to wait until like midnight, 1 a.m. I call them. They're like, I said, what did you think? It's like, what, you're not making the game? Like, no, you actually need to give us like a contract. You need to say yes. I'm like, uh-oh. The group that we were with were kind of buffoons. But anyway, it was a studio, kind of like Harebrained Schemes, that was owned by Sony, but it's still officially Sony. Anyway, they said, well, I guess you should come out here and let's talk about it.
Go to Japan?
England.
Oh, okay.
Right? Sony Interactive Europe.
Okay.
And so I fly to England with my partner. I've told the story before, but I'll try and be brief. But basically, we were in Wales. Okay. We're literally in the Shire, right? And literally in the Shire. His house is built into the hill.
All right.
3 windows in the front.
That's my
the
people.
Whole
yeah.
Bag
yeah.
end.
Yeah.
It's cool as hell.
Yeah.
It's absolutely cool. And we're taking a walk with this Irish wolfhound, which is bigger than me. And we're taking a walk in the neighborhood, and we ended up in this goat pasture. And I'm standing in sheep shit and goat shit. I'm literally just standing in shit. And he goes, so how much? I said, how much what? How much for you to quit your jobs and do this full time, on a contract?
Wow.
And we had sort of fantasized about what if they pay this? What's our number? And so I threw that number away and I doubled it. I just doubled it. And I said, I gave him the number. And he goes, whoa. He goes, that's more than I make. And I said, yeah, but we're the talent. And he goes, done. And he holds out his hand for me to shake it. And I immediately shake it before anything can happen. Good. Thank you. Could I talk to my partner alone for a minute? And he goes back into Bag End. And I turned to my friend who's literally shaking. He's 6'6". And he's shaking. He said, what did you do, man? I said, I got us a lot of money. And then suddenly, it dawns on me. I said, hey, what's a pixel? And he tells me what a pixel is. I'm like, all right, I've heard the word polygon. What's a polygon? And he explains that. I'm like, all right, we're fucked. And that's how I got into video games. That's it. And that was for a PlayStation 1. It was super secret. And I was off to the races. So I did that. I designed that in 94, 95 era.
Okay.
Right. That came out in Europe only, pretty much, but it got 5-star reviews for its innovative design.
What was it?
I don't mind saying it. It was, it was called Sentient, Sentient.
Okay.
It was pretty cool and whack as hell. It's hard to, from a high level design point of view, you went, wow, there's a lot of really good thinking in that. From an execution point of view, well, there's something else. But anyway, did that. It came out, it got 5-star from Edge magazine, which was like the magazine at the time. It was like, holy crap, Edge gave us 5 stars. And then they ported it to PC and brought it to America, and it tanked and it got trashed. And it was like, this is a chunk of crap. Anyway, so that was then, and that was again freelance. And then due to stuff, we didn't get another contract out of them. And that's when my wife says, I don't mind you being a game developer, do whatever you want. But, this whole freelance thing, because I missed a mortgage payment. It's like, okay, let's not miss mortgage payments. Do anything you want. Just don't miss mortgage payments.
That's a good rule. Yeah, that's a good rule of law. Yeah.
Oh, it was law.
Yeah.
You may have met my wife. Yeah, that was law. So, so I got a job making children's games.
Okay.
At a company in Chicago, in downtown Chicago, and I was doing Where's Waldo. I was doing Where's Waldo, sort of teaches history. That was the thing. And then we also did these things we called Sillywood games. I don't know if you've ever heard about these.
Yeah.
All right, so this is back when CD-ROMs were invented, right?
Yeah.
CDs, like, oh my God, the innovation.
Yeah.
It was a CD-ROM game. And once we got CD-ROM technology, then people started making games with real live actors.
Yeah.
Right. And doing that kind of stuff. You may have heard of something called Night Trap and some other things that were horribly exploitive, terrible games. And we were making those.
Yeah.
And I made one based on the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Eraser.
Okay.
Right. hey, kids out there in TV land or whatever, look it up. Eraser. It was called Eraser Turnabout, and look for the YouTube trailer. It's
Okay.
worth your time. I tried to take my name off of it.
Oh, really?
I actually used the word Alan Smithy. Have you ever heard this? Alan Smithy is directors in Hollywood when they don't want to put their name on a movie, they put in the name Alan Smithy. And in the credits, I put Alan Smithy in there, and the CEO found out. That didn't go well for me. And he put my name back in, but not with my real title, with whatever he said my title was, which was not kind. Anyway, we parted ways around that. He also cheated me out of $5,000. But anyway,
you don't hold grudges. Bitter. Yeah, nothing. No.
Motherfucker. But anyway, around that time, I lived in a neighborhood. Is this the level of detail you want, man?
I'm like I said, I'm just waiting for the Jordan Wise.
Well, here's where Jordan comes in. All right. So
I've never heard any of this. This is why I wanted to know.
Now, around this era, it's the best, because at this point, I don't know what time is anymore. But around this era, first of all, I met Jordan when I was 15. And if I was 15, he was 20. I was 16, he was 21, I think, at Gen Con. All right. We met at Gen Con. He ran me through a demo for the last Starfighter game. It was unbelievably cool. Like, this guy at 21, he was better than everybody else at Gen Con that I had met. He knew his shit. It was cool. This was before BattleTech. This was before Shadowrun. They had just come off of making Star Trek, the role-playing game. They did Doctor Who, the role-playing game. But they really started with Traveler, right? Making maps for Traveler. That's how they just started making stuff. Anyway, we met there, and then we hadn't seen each other for a while. And then later on, because of I put out that game Underground the same year he put out a game. God, I don't remember what it was, but I remember it was the same year that White Wolf put out Wraith the Oblivion. Again, it was like 93. And that's the same year, by the way, that Magic the Gathering came out. So we're all at Gen Con, and we could all see each other, right? Everybody could see each other. All of our booths were like facing each other. Just this weird moment in time. And nobody's coming to our booths. And we're debuting brand new games. This is where most of your revenue comes from. It's actually at Gen Con, because it's direct. Sure. You don't have to go through retailers and distributors and stuff. So this is a really big deal. You launch a game, this is where you make a lot of money. But nobody is coming to our booths, and they're all like walking through the floor of Gen Con, through the dealers area, past us. And they're going to the Wizards of the Coast booth to buy Magic the Gathering. And we're all looking at each other with our jaws up and like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And then we found out the hard way. And, it was bad for business. Let me tell you, it was real bad for business. Anyway, in the era that I'm talking about now, that's when Jordan, again, at that Consumer Electronics Show, was showing the BattleTech pods, right? And they were like made of wood and stuff, and they were unpainted, or maybe they were like light gray, like in your garage, because literally in his garage he had made it. He's actually kind of a handy guy. Yeah, he actually like knows how to use power tools. He made those and everything. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah. I mean, he was part of it for sure, and so he's very crafty. Anyway, those were going well, and those were picking up steam and stuff, and that's when the Disney family started investing in it. David Bowie was interested in it.
Oh wow!
I think Bowie did invest, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah. Anyway, the BattleTech Center in Chicago was a real big deal. Yeah. And that's where we both lived.
I never got to go. I was too young.
Oh,
I never got to experience that.
It was really special.
Yeah.
It was truly special, because everybody's dressed up, in black fatigues and stuff. Yeah. You walk in and it's an experience, it's location-based entertainment.
Yeah.
So it's not just like a video game where you walk up, you go through an orientation. Yeah. Oh, Mechwarriors, listen up, the whole bit, Yeah. There's a video up there, a training video. I think by that time it was with Jim Belushi.
Yeah. The No Guts, No Galaxy. That's,
Right.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jim lived nearby, and he used to come
That's crazy.
because he just loved
it.
the BattleTech Center, and he just volunteered. I'll do a video. I don't even think they paid him.
That's awesome.
He just did it because he was cool.
Yeah.
You know.
And for those that are listening, you can just go to YouTube and just Google Belushi BattleTech. Yeah. It like I remember me and Darren watched it, and it was just like, you know. And then at the end, No Guts, No Galaxy, and that's where our
there were posters on the wall, huge floor-to-ceiling posters that said No Guts, No Galaxy.
Gosh, and like at that age too, my age, like I would have been so engrossed because I was engrossed at like age 12 to 13, let alone if I would have been 9 and walk in and you could get in these pods to experience. I would have been like, you know.
This is before anything like it existed.
Yeah.
You know, it was like 16 pods all networked together. You know, and we told the investors 16 pods. It's kind of hard to explain. There's a long story there. There were definitely 8 that were networked together. And then I think one night for a demo sort of faked 16, but that's another story completely. Yeah. You know, Weissman was a showman, or is a showman. I'm sorry. No, there's no past tense to Jordan Weissman on the showmanship thing. Anyway, so we were talking about, you know, because I was in retail at the time and doing, you know, I ran Chicago for Blockbuster Video, right? I ran all of Chicago, and he's like, you know, I'd like you to run the virtual world centers, like all around the country and around the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And we were talking about that, and that was there's a whole story there. But anyway, so we were flirting with working together for years. Because one of the first things I did when I got in the pod at the Consumer Electronics Show, the very first time, and this is the first time Weissman got a real taste of Gitelman. You know, like, yeah, your UI. Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? Because at the time, there were 2 joysticks. You know, I mean, there were foot pedals and joysticks and multifunctional displays and a throttle and all that. But it was 2 joysticks. And in order to torso twist, you turned both joysticks at the same time. Anyway, the interface was kind of a mess, which is a through line of Jordan's games. You know, like, we're going to hire people for that now.
Gotcha.
But, that's what happened on Mech Commander also, but that's another story. But we'll get there, I guess, because that's what we're here for. Yeah. Anyway, so we were flirting around. But anyway, when I finally told the CEO of that company that I was leaving, without profanity, I've always been a high profanity guy, but that was, it's like I thought professionalism said, don't go fuck yourself. So I didn't. But inside I was doing that. And so all of the game developers, paper and pencil game developers, because really video game developers didn't really exist yet. All the paper and pencil game developers in Chicago, a lot of them lived in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
Right. And so I lived a couple of blocks away from Tom Dowd. And Tom was one of the creators of Vampire the Masquerade and Shadowrun. Right. Okay. And he worked peripherally on BattleTech too. And he left FASA eventually to work for FASA Interactive on Mech Commander. He was actually the lead designer of Mech Commander. And although nobody knew Mech Commander existed at the time, it's a secret project. And I told Tom, screw this. And he's like, let me talk to Jordan. And so Tom got me an interview with Jordan. And Jordan had a real cool office space in a really bad neighborhood. Like, it was this cool warehouse that they had sort of kitted out to look kind of BattleTech-y and stuff. It was 2 floors, exposed brick. It was everything you want from a cool office space. Sure. It was the single coolest office space I've ever worked in, for before or since. Just glorious. Because they had 8 pods networked together too. So after work, we would all go down and play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so that was just awesome. And so I went to work there on Crimson Skies.
Okay, yeah.
You've ever heard of Crimson Skies?
Yep.
It wasn't called Crimson Skies at the time. It was originally called Corsairs.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be another game for the pods, right? It's like, okay, let's use these pods for other things and we can rotate things through, keep it fresh. Jordan had already done some work on that, but I was brought in to be the lead designer on what became eventually Crimson Skies. And it was just my jam, right? It was sort of that era, kind of pulpy, sort of World War II-y, sort of, or pre-World War II. That was sort of my jam. at the time. And Jordan and I just sort of, we found out very quickly, we just spoke the same language. We thought a lot alike. We were just like instantly like simpatico that way. I think that's the right word choice. It just was.
Yeah.
I also pissed him off like hardcore sometimes because my design feedback at the time was very harsh.
Yeah.
Not like now.
No filter. Yeah. Not now. Yeah.
You know what's not a good idea when you're working directly for the creator of the company, not to have a filter. You might want to think about that. I never changed, but it was an idea.
That could create some tension. But I mean, I think
just temporarily. He's so cool.
It's very rare to have a work like a bond like that. I think with people. I mean, to be fair, like where especially in the working environment, where you just everything clicks and you get over whatever little things.
We could talk shorthand quickly. You know what I mean? Remember that thing in that movie? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You type it out. It was just like that. And it's still like that, And so, but during the interview, I've told this before, but with him in the room, during the interview, I said, cool, Jordan, I love this idea. I'd love to work on this game. Just please don't put me on BattleTech. He was like, why? I said, because BattleTech's fucking stupid, Jordan. Giant walking robots. It's just stupid. He's like, all right, fine. 3 months later, I'm on BattleTech.
Yeah.
Right. We took the idea for Crimson Skies and we shelved it. Right. Because Mech Commander had been going on and development was kind of fraught, as happens in video games, especially this era. Nobody knows how to make video games in this era. I mean, you're practically rubbing sticks and stones together or something.
Well, especially on the PC, right? I mean, the idea of like consoles, Nintendo had obviously been around for a little bit, and Atari before that and all that. But like console-wise, PlayStation I don't know, was the Xbox out? No.
No.
Wasn't until
part of that later. That's
99. Yeah. So
no,
was it
it's
98?
Later than that even. No, it's later than that. I joined Microsoft in 1999. They weren't talking about the Xbox until maybe 2000.
2000.
I'm right.
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, that may be right. Yeah. So that was actually so you've stumbled upon you met Jordan early when you were 15, 16ish. You go forward in time. You're working for Blockbuster, managing the stores there. And then this opportunity, you leave that and you have an interview and he wants you to handle the management, if you will, of maybe the pods.
Virtual World Centers,
and then
they were called at the time.
Now you're looking at doing Crimson Skies. I for some odd reason, like this rings a bell of like even like Mech 3 and MSN Gaming Zone. I remember something about Crimson Skies being on MSN Gaming Zone, or like it was going to be on MSN Gaming Zone.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if it was.
Well, you're skipping forward in time, but eventually...
Because you're talking about like 93, 94, is that when you're talking about?
No. 93, 94 is when I was doing paper and pencil role-playing games. And then that PlayStation 1 game was 95.
Okay, 95.
And then, or 94. 95, I was doing Where's Waldo and the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie game and stuff like that. And then after that, like 96-ish, I think, that's when I joined FASA Interactive. And was working on Crimson Skies. And then soon afterwards, I started working on Mech Commander. There was kind of a change of management to Mech Commander. I took over.
Did you play Mech 2 at all? Mechwarrior 2?
Play it?
Yeah.
Sure, of course. How do you not play Mechwarrior 2?
I'm just saying, like, there's people out there, like, because it was a huge hit on the PlayStation as well. Like, I remember, like, I didn't have it on the PlayStation. I didn't even get into it till years later. So.
Oh, yeah. When it came out, work stopped at our office. All the game developers, crowded around one guy's desk because he was the only one that had a 3D accelerator card.
Yeah.
Right.
God,
and he got Mech 2. It was bundled with those cards. That's why Mech 2 was such a big hit, was because it sold well, but also it was bundled with 3D cards at the time. And so you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting Mechwarrior 2, right? And so we're all gathered around his desk, And I was like, all right, my turn. Give me the joystick.
Yeah.
And so I didn't play it at home because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
You know, but I played it at work, and we all played it at work. Yeah.
Okay, so you got, you said 3 months later, you got assigned to BattleTech because there was some development, whatever, going on with Crimson Skies. Was that for Mech Commander?
Yeah, that was Mech Commander. And Mech Commander had been in development for some time, but it was never focused, right? The opening cinematic was just about done.
I love it.
And it was, oh man, it still brings me to tears.
Yeah, it's still one of my
fantastic.
favorite.
I wish that I had made it, you know. Tom actually was one of the writers on it, the guy I was telling you about that helped me get the job with Jordan. Yeah, the head of marketing, Joel Maychak, actually directed that thing. It was really very good.
It was
the graphics were made by the same people who actually did Mech Commander. We didn't outsource that or anything.
Yeah, I mean it is to this day my favorite BattleTech game to date. Like I've said this multiple times, not to blow smoke up your ass.
That's what it is,
to
man.
me. I've played thousands of hours. I've played the missions so many times, the expansion as well. It was, to me, it was like giving you a real sense of like, obviously you're not in the cockpit, but like a real sense of what the universe was. And I always wanted to see more. I'm going to be like Mech Commander 1 and the DLC was DLC expansion at the time. DLC future text.
That was me too. I'll tell you, I got a long history. I shipped the first DLC on console, but anyway, keep going.
you got, it was pretty different than what I guess normal like art, like, because it's a real-time strategy, but it's not resource based. Like,
right, we called it real-time tactics.
Tactics, yes. So let dive into that a little bit. Like, what was your thinking? Like, what were you setting out to do? And then, you know, when you were brought on the team, what was your role? Like, what were you doing to organize all of the stuff and put a plan and go forward, or?
Sort of, yeah. First of all, I think the vision was pretty much Jordan's, but also the CEO of the company, Denny Thorley, was the executive producer, and I had nothing to do with the vision of the game.
Okay.
Right. The vision was in place-ish when I got there, but it was kind of chaotic. You know, at that time and in that place, I think there were 2 people on the team that actually had ever made a video game before, maybe 3, wow. Right? There was a lack of wisdom there, but let's move on. No judgment. It's just what it is. There were some talented people, clearly talented people, but nobody knew how to make a game. And, you know, I knew shit. I was one of the more experienced guys. I made it up as I went along.
Sure.
Right. And so I was hired on as an associate producer, but then basically it's like, okay, you're the producer, you know? And as a matter of fact, at one point during a meeting, the CEO said, well, to one of the designers, why did you make this decision? He said, well, that's what my lead designer told me to do. And he's like, who? And he pointed to Tom. He said, Tom. He says, Tom's not the lead designer. And Tom says, I'm not? He says, no, Mitch is the lead designer. I am. Right? Anyway, there's management and there's management. I learned a ton at that company about how to run a game company by doing the opposite of what I learned there. Right? And, but anyway, so yeah, I focused it is basically what happens. Like, you know, the interface, I hired a guy who later went on to great work at Bungie eventually, but he and I worked together for years, who now is the design manager at Wizards of the Coast for D&D. The guy I got into the video game business with in the first place that I wrote Underground with, who I helped to write Underground. He's now in charge of Dungeons and Dragons. He's the executive producer. Yeah, it's a fun little cohort that sort of grew up together.
You guys are a generation of like, I mean, of that though, I mean, not saying trendsetters, but I mean, you're the platform that everything else launched from. I mean, really, I mean, all those, the people of that time frame. I mean, you were in the right place, right time, right desire.
That's the right way
right,
to
like
put it. Right.
you know,
Lucky.
like lucky, but I'm saying
Just
like
lucky.
you know, all of this, everything that we see in 2020, as far as I mean, it all came down to those individuals in the late 80s, early 90s that were doing the tabletop and the gamings and creating things and the imagination, the nerds, if you will, to some extent, but then also but also to just say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Like, I feel like that's a really important, valuable lesson.
I don't know, but I'm going to make it up.
Yeah, or we're going to make it work. It's going to work. We're going to find out. We're going to make it. You gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I used to say it's a school of hard knocks. There were no such thing as game development schools back then. There was no Full Sail or whatever, Digipan. Those just didn't exist. You made it. You learned by doing. You learned through the school of hard knocks. You learned through your boss yelling at you.
You guys have in Mech Commander you have features in that still, like for instance, I know a lot of the older games had that where you'd use recorded footage of real life actors, right? But like the Commander, the debrief is still fantastic. Like it's one of those things where there's fundamentally core mechanics that I mean still hold up, and I mean the game's
Command and Conquer had done that.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Red Alert, Command and Conquer, all those, StarCraft.
And that was of the same era.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And remember that live video of actors? That's what I had done at my last company, right? With those games like the Arnold Schwarzenegger games, stuff like that. So that's what we did. And I wrote those.
They're fantastic. I mean, to be honest, we haven't had any other game, even Mech 3, Mech 4. I guess you had the blurps in Mech 4 as far as some video and stuff. Again, sort of similar.
Oh no, there was some good video stuff in Mech 4. The opening cinematic.
But putting you in the universe of seeing a person like in an outfit, giving I don't know. To me, I guess I'm biased because it is my favorite. But like I've always felt like it did a really good job. 3 did a great job narration with the voice actor and all that. But so Mech Commander came out in I think 99. Is that correct? 99?
No, it's like 97, I think.
Is it? Hold on. We're gonna
we're gonna No, I think you're right to do that. You should look that up. I may be totally
just because 98. Yes.
98 so because Microsoft moved us out there in 99. You're right, 98.
Okay.
That's right.
How does that work? Obviously, back then, so you have the developers, FASA Studios, who you work for, and then
FASA Interactive.
Okay,
FASA
and then
Studio was when we went to Microsoft. We became FASA Studio later.
Okay, and then Microprose and Hasbro. That says publisher.
Well, the publishers.
And is it the same sort of idea as like publishers are your backing financially, but also your distribution and your channels?
Right.
Is that basically the same? Okay.
Yeah, same as now.
Okay.
Pretty much same as now. Yeah.
Obviously, it did it well enough to where you guys made a more DLC. How was it for you? I mean, were you guys happy with the result? I mean, as far as like sales and whatnot, did you do projections back then of like, or was it, hey, if we just make these enough, we'll just like, how was all that back then?
At that time, right, I was pretty damn green. Like I was just making it up as I went along. And I wasn't even that senior in the company. It was so funny. There were senior producers to me. I was the only one who actually shipped. Everybody else had these highfalutin plans. None of them.
Nothing happened.
No, the little guy shipped. But in terms of sales and stuff like that, I wasn't actually privy to that information, really.
Okay.
Projections. The company wasn't run that way.
Okay.
The executives were the executives, and that was that. But we were told some sales numbers early with big smiles on their faces.
Well, then that works.
It's like, hey, look, we did this. And because I was so green, is that good? Yeah. I didn't know. They were smiling. Do we get to make another game? Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. And so the CEO turns to me and says, what do you want to do in Mech Commander 2? That was it. Yeah. Actually, and so we started making a features list for that. But also we had to do Mech Commander Gold.
Yeah, Desperate Measures and the expansion.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so Desperate Measures, Jordan had real fast, because I think this one is this is your wheelhouse. So I'll give you more sort of you know, Mech Commander stories. So while I was finishing Mech Commander, Jordan was actually doing work on what became Desperate Measures.
Okay.
Right. And just coming and basically he just, because the art department had already rolled off most of Mech Commander, you know, he got them working on Mech Commander Desperate Measures, right? And coming up with sort of the look and feel of that without me, right?
Gotcha.
Completely just, he just handed it to me one day. Said, here you go. Here's a whole bunch of art. And here's a whole bunch of, I think there were new mechs in there too, right? Yeah. So here, you know, here's some new art, and here's a storyline, you know, and I kind of tossed the storyline and just wrote my own. And I mean, no, I think I tossed the storyline. I'm pretty sure I did. So like, yeah, thanks, no. And that one was where it was weapons free for me. You know, I did anything I wanted in that one. I came up with the features list, you know. I designed a lot of it myself. I designed all the new UI elements. After reading all of the reviews and reading the boards, what was it? Dropshipcommand.com was, I love that place. Really great people on dropshipcommand.com. And I was reading all of their forum feedback. And so basically I'm like, oh, I see what's wrong with the game. And then I would just design features based on their feedback, right? Gotcha. Which is a great way of doing it from my perspective. I still do it to this day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. The only thing I was told is make an editor. That was the only requirement on me. Ship an editor. And I was told a 15-year-old needs to be able to make Mech Commander missions with this editor.
Yeah. That's pretty revolutionary too. I mean, skipping forward to when you guys did one for like Shadowrun, but it's a huge undertaking, and obviously I think it spoiled a few of us because like it's the same thing we expected, like with BattleTech or Mech 5, you know, like Mech 5. Like, why don't you just have an editor? Why don't you just? It's you did it before. Like, it can't be that. And it's like, you know, they have no idea, but the exponential more difficulty that it's. So, how was it behind the scenes as far as the technical perspective? Like, because you guys took 3D models for the mechs that were animated, and then you created sprites, and a lot of people may not realize that those were 3D models that you then, and we did some testing with it a few years ago and then you'd basically every frame as you know, 16 directions, and then the torsos, and then you the arms were copied as well, because like a left you could just flip it, and then you know, all that stuff. From a technical perspective, how difficult was that?
That actually happened before I got onto the project.
Okay.
But my understanding of it, and one of the technical directors on there for art is a guy named Jamie Marshall, who's left the game industry many years ago. Very talented guy. And the lead animator is a guy named Todd Labonte. And Todd is a brilliant animator. He's in movies now. He's done a whole bunch of movies you've seen, like Cats and Dogs and stuff like that.
The animations are great. They're organic. They're flow. Like, you still like, I still look at them, and I'm like, why can't we have that? You know, like,
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
If you have the right people. Yeah.
It was pretty damn innovative. And between them and Jordan, you know, Jordan is no slouch when it comes to, he's not really technical. He knows enough to be truly dangerous. Truly dangerous, but he'll come up with really cool ideas and that are so inspiring that people go, yeah, I'm going to make that work. You know, that's one of his great talents.
Of finding also people that can carry out your ideas and your
vision.
Your vision. Yeah, I guess that'd be better.
No, that he's a visionary person. He really is. He's as close to a genius as I've ever met.
Yeah.
Right. He really is. He's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
and he happens to be a very sweet man too.
From the business,
being a genius and not being a dick is pretty cool.
Yeah, and knowing,
right,
and with the successes that he's had too as well. Like, not only that is he a smart businessman as well. Not just like, hey, I've got all these really cool ideas, I can make all this, but like running a company and growing a company.
Yes, and so that's very interesting about Jordan. And I'm not airing his dirty laundry here. you're right. And like once upon a time, FASA, and TSR owned Gen Con, and FASA was the cool kid, and he came up with all sorts of cool stuff. And they were making money hand over fist, right, at FASA Corp, making paper and pencil role-playing games. They were just making scads of money, and they earned it. They were doing great stuff. They had, these living worlds, right? The BattleTech universe and the Shadowrun universe would evolve over time, and then they'd put out supplements. Like he would plan things a year ahead. What are we going to do with the universe a year ahead? They'd have these design summits and stuff. Brilliant thinking. It wasn't just like, what's the module today? It was different. So he absolutely earned that. And in video games, well, that was a different animal, and so he had some pluses and some minuses. There's red in his ledger in some places too. The thing about him that I love is he just keeps plugging. Right. And that's the thing that we shared. That was one of the things that we shared. It's just like grit. It's just like, oh, that was a failure. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Failure's a tool. Now? Yeah, it's a tool.
It is. And here's the thing. He taught me this a long time ago. And he used to occasionally give keynote addresses about entrepreneurship and stuff. And when I finally founded Harebrained Schemes with them, this was a common story that I still tell myself, even though it's his story. To him, entrepreneurship is jumping off a cliff and believing that you will be able to create a set of wings before you hit the ground. That's what entrepreneurship is. It's that belief.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hit the ground.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, and this is the thing that he and I went, yep, we get it. We are partners, right? It was really early on. It was what year did we found this going to be? It was like 2011, around there, 2012. And so, okay, you hit the ground, whatever. Hold on. Where am I going? Here's the thing. What, 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs or startups fail?
Sure.
Right. Maybe it's 90 out of 100. I don't know. I guess that's the same thing. But insert cool number here, right? They fail. That's your superpower. Knowing that you are doomed means do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Just go for it, because you're probably going to fail.
Yeah.
So you might as well just go for it.
Go big or go
full
home.
bore.
Yeah.
Right. And he told me that once, when we were flirting with the idea of starting a company together. I was like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I would take any risk. It was just whatever.
Gotcha.
When I finally came to him and said, let's do a Kickstarter, he's like, whoa, no. And then Tim Schafer did his, earned $3 million. He's like, what I meant was, this kid's right. Let's go do that.
So obviously that actually goes into one of the questions, which is from a little bit of history, and correct me, Microsoft stepped in, bought FASA Studio. FASA Interactive. Right. And Jordan obviously sold the company to Microsoft. I believe at that point, like, he moved on as well with his life. No, he stay?
No, it was cooler than that.
Okay.
So he sold the company. 45 of us moved from Chicago to Washington.
Okay.
And went to work, and that became sort of the core of Microsoft Game Studios.
Okay.
They had already been dabbling in games and stuff, but then it's like, okay, here's a game studio, plop, right?
And that was
start building from there.
And that was Mech Commander 2.
Yeah.
And
Mechwarrior
4. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the two first games that we put out. We got there, and there was no such thing as studios. They just sort of assimilated us into Microsoft. Right.
Okay.
That didn't go great. I did not behave great. It
was a totally different environment. It was corporate.
Oh, yeah.
It was different.
Yeah. There were TPS reports.
So we need to talk to you about Mitch again.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was a bull in a china shop. I was just Mr. Fuck You, no. I mean, it was pretty wild for a while because we would say, okay, let's do this or whatever. And I remember somebody saying to me, and I didn't know how high ranked he was. It turns out he outranked me a lot. And he goes like this, that's not the way we do things here. And I said, you've never shipped a game. You worked on Excel. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. How about you start listening instead of stop telling me that that's not the way we do things here? It was that sort of, you know, and then I realized later, oh shit, I just talked to like a guy like 3 or 4 levels above me, whatever. But it was like that a lot. And I learned the corporate culture the hard way through failure.
Sure.
You know, definitely. And yeah, I spent 2 years, I spent 12 years at Microsoft. The first 2, I spent angry. And I spent the last couple angry too. Anyway, there was a lot of anger. I had anger management.
So were you involved with Mech Commander 2?
Yeah, I was the director of Mech Commander 2. We called them producers back then. A producer was sort of a catch-all for, you're just running the project.
Yeah, you're running the project. Okay.
Yeah, I was the game director of Mech 2. Okay. And I actually finished Mech Commander Gold Desperate Measures at Microsoft.
Okay.
We moved out there. I finished that and then did Mech 2. Jordan went on to become the creative director for Xbox, the first wave of titles.
Okay.
Right? That was his job, to shepherd the first set of like 6 Xbox games out there. And then as he's doing that, there's a funny Mitch and Jordan story. I'm at his house one night. He says, let me show you something. And he shows me concept art and stuff for Mage Knight.
Okay.
Right. You're familiar with Mage Knight, right?
No.
HeroClix.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Before HeroClix, there was Mage Knight.
Okay.
It was the IP that he invented to do HeroClix, and then he later got the license for Marvel and DC. You know, and that's when it became HeroClix. So it was first, he's like, look, it's sort of like Magic the Gathering. You get these figures, these little plastic figures that are pre-painted in a box, but you don't know what's in the box.
Okay.
Right.
I know exactly. I know, I'm looking at them right now. So I just wanted to, I was like, okay, know exactly what you're talking about now.
So he shows me the base, the click base. It's like, look, everything you need to know is on there. I remember it like it was yesterday. And he's got that Jordan little boy grin, right, that I've come to know so well. I've got an idea and I think it's really hot. He says, I want you to run this company, right? I'm going to leave Microsoft. I'm going to open a company. It was called WizKids eventually, but at the time he didn't have a name for it. Why don't you come run this company? I'm like, no. It's like, why? He's like, it's not going to work, man. I'm just telling you. I got a gut. It's not going to work. And within a year and a half, he had made $32 million. And I didn't. Right? I was just like, next time Weissman has a goofy ass idea,
just roll with
I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
That was Golem Arcana.
Yeah.
But anyway, oh well, they don't all work.
Okay.
But,
so you're at Microsoft.
Right.
Desperate Measure launches, great by the way.
Cheers.
Again, it's one of those where I always wanted more. I was always like, and then Mech Commander 2 you're launched.
Yeah.
Definitely some design changes. It was also, I will say, the weird time when stuff was going to 3D, especially like for the PC, making that shift, and obviously 2D sprites that I still think hold up today. To Mech Commander 2, it was very low polygon and stuff like that. But the controls were different. You guys did different stuff in Mech Lab, and first off, Mech Commander 2, or just Mech Commander in general, took a completely different stance from Mechwarrior, and I felt like that was a very good thing because it just it explored that, like, hey, cool, there's tabletop, there's Mechwarrior, and not everything has to follow the same rules. This is the universe, and this is a game, and this game has different rules
motivation
than this, you know?
And I was trying to make that, I think you're right. And yeah, the Mech Lab was, well, first of all, the Mech Lab and Mech Commander was just drag the name of a weapon over here.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
And my lead designer at the time, a guy named Mike Lee, came up with what we call the paper doll, right, Mech Lab, where there's pictures and how big it is. There are horizontal weapons and there are vertical weapons and the size of the weapon and stuff. And, you do this. And I thought, this is a way that BattleTech could reach a new audience.
Sure.
That's what I was going for all the time, right? It's like, we can't sell to mech heads forever, right? Well, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
We're at Microsoft now. We've got a real marketing budget. I'm going to try and expand the audience by making it more fun to load out your mech.
Sure.
And I thought that Mike's idea was really cool.
Yeah, it was different. I liked it.
I still like it. I still think it's cool. So that was why the 3D thing was two things. The reason why we went to 3D is the technical director of the game did not want to recreate that pipeline because, like you were saying, that was hard to do.
It's a lot of work.
It's like they didn't want to go through that work, and 3D was on the rise. And my art director at the time was like, "Look, the mechs can catch the light and do shit." And I'm just like, "All right." Now they were all 250 polygons.
Yes.
So lower fi in a way, the Mech Commander. But then I had a 3D, 3D terrain. There was all sorts of things we did with 3D. Fog of War, I changed, stuff like that. And ultimately, the game did about as well as Mech Commander 1. I didn't expand the audience. I just sold it again.
Yeah.
All right, but, I blew that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be... What's it? I mean, obviously, it's exciting that it worked, but it's like, did it achieve what you're ultimately wanting, which is bringing in that fresh blood? And
right, and that's why I did a lot of videos in that too. Remember the little videos in Mech Commander Desperate Measures? I expanded that out. I wrote that game, and I wrote
the news articles, the news stuff,
all that stuff.
Commander,
I wrote all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. I mean, like I said, to me, those were really influential as far as like early gameplay, because like outside of Mechwarrior, Mech Commander, I mean, I played games like Total Annihilation.
Yeah, sure. Chris Taylor.
Yeah, like
gas-powered games. Yeah.
There was a handful of stuff. I mean, obviously I'd played Command and Conquer, but there was something about, this is a unit that transfers over, and this is a pilot that you can put in, and it's going to transfer in a mission. But guess what? Hunter may die, or the beast may die, or all the. And by the way, I also noticed that Jordan Wiseman is one of the pilots in the portraits. Like I noticed that, I was like, that's freaking Jordan. Now that I knew,
actually,
I was like, that's
all of the pilots were the team.
The team, yeah, I figured as much. Yeah,
the team or people that worked on the same floor as us at Microsoft. Yeah.
This is Rooster, and all
that.
As a
matter of fact, Rooster. That was one of the designers. Yeah, actually, the voice of Rooster was one of the designers who went on to design Destiny. Actually, my wife was one of the voices.
Yeah, I think you told me this. Yeah, I think you told me. Yeah.
I'm in a minefield.
Yeah. Okay, so Mech Commander 2.
Dagger, by the way, I just want to give her props. She was Dagger.
So Mech Commander 2, shout out Dagger. Mech Commander 2 comes out. There's no splash, if you will, but I feel like, to be fair, games, especially PC games, it was this weird time, and it was right at the time the Xbox basically comes out, and Halo, and I remember just the graphic fidelity, even back then. Like you can see the remastered and the original, but back then, Halo comes out. Were you involved with Mechasalt?
I shipped Mechasalt.
Okay, so
Mechasalt was the first game on Xbox Live.
So this is why I'm asking, and I feel like you talked about.
I was the publishing producer. I want to make that clear. Right, I was the publishing producer.
Okay.
So I had a big hand in it, but it was a different animal. I didn't develop the game.
Okay, you didn't develop it. Right. Okay, but from the marketing standpoint, I don't. Look, at the time I was young, and I didn't get the big picture. Like I bought it and I played it or whatever, but it was like, this isn't BattleTech, this isn't Mechwarrior, like
Right. It's an arcade game.
But now that I look back on it, it is very, very BattleTech. And if you want to talk about one of the best marketing strategies of you have a console, you shipped it with the console as well, it brought in so many people to the IP. Like it's a marketing, I mean, brilliance. I mean, in some regards, I mean, of just getting it out there with the console. And just because I didn't think so because I was some tabletop hardcore whatever, and oh, that's not my BattleTech. But in reality, also too is like I think you guys did something unique, which is some of the complications with even Mechwarrior, Mechwarrior Online, or Mech 3 or Mech 2 is the complication. Like you come in and it's especially if you know, like there's a lot of bells and whistles, and if you simplified the system and say, do we really need multiple different weapon groups of the same thing? Or like, how do you condense that? How do you take, oh, well, now we have to worry about, oh, well, you can just blow off this section and then the mech's useless. Well, how about if we just, you did a lot of things in that game, and I don't know if it's been harped on enough out there or even recognized by a lot of people. You guys simplified actual BattleTech into, an arcade shooter, but something that I think connected with a lot of people, and it was popular.
Yeah, it's so weird. That was a long time ago.
It's only 20 years ago.
Yeah, you know what I've done in the last 20 years? There's a lot of water under that bridge. We were proud of it.
Yeah,
we were proud of it, and we were proud of it for a couple different reasons. One, it was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. It existed in the BattleTech universe. Hey, you know what? How many games exist in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah.
Think about all the different genres, from role-playing games, to Dark Forces, Jedi Knight Dark Forces, and, first-person shooters. There's all sorts of things, and they can all exist. It's fine. That's what our mentality was. It's just another way to touch the BattleTech universe. And there's an audience for this. And so, I agree. I still like that game. The guy who wrote the dialogue for that one is working on Halo Infinite right now.
Again, trendsetters, man.
Chris Blome. Yeah, Chris Blome. Anyway, so funny. That was good dialogue, though. He did a nice job of writing it. I remember I voice directed that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so weird to think about these things. But it was like, and it was the first game on Xbox Live.
Yeah.
Right. We had voice chat.
Yeah.
I was one of the first people to ever speak on Xbox Live.
Yeah.
And the first thing I said was, "I'm not wearing pants." Yeah, that was cool. It was fun.
Yeah.
We would do these take-home tests. We would all drive home and play the game from home. It was just this bizarre experience. And, a lot of my career is that kind of stuff. It's like, we've done a lot of things that are first. That's not always the best thing from a business point of view to be first.
Sure. Because there's a lot of uncertainty.
Going second's a lot better.
Yes.
But still, you feel like you're a part of history.
Gotcha.
And, we talked about CD-ROMs. We talked about the PlayStation 1. Like my personal history is the history of video games.
Yeah, literally.
In a lot of ways. I didn't work on Zork. I would have loved to. But it's still cool as hell.
Yeah.
And nobody knows it. And I don't give a shit. I didn't get into this business to be famous. I just want to make, but it's really cool to feel your life intertwined with the history of video games and the history of BattleTech and Shadowrun. It's cool.
So obviously, skip forward. You launched Mechasalt. There was Mechasalt 2 as well.
Right.
I feel like we need from time's sake, because I feel like we can just keep talking.
Yeah.
No, that's me. Skip forward to when you said you were at Microsoft Game Studios for 12 years. You mentioned 2012, 2011, Harebrained Schemes was formed.
Right.
And that was a partnership. Am I correct with you and Jordan? How that went along.
Yeah.
And was that specifically for BattleTech the game, or was that?
No, not at all.
No. Okay.
No. We formed the company to make mobile games.
Okay.
Right. And we were actually put together by Bungie. I was consulting on Destiny 1 at the time. I had left Microsoft and I was a consultant and working on stuff for them. and they were interested in dabbling in mobile games, right? And Jordan had an idea for a mobile game. His last company had failed, and he had lost a lot of money and a lot of investors' money. It was just this sort of downtime. It's just that's the way it is when you're a serial entrepreneur. You're up sometimes, you're down sometimes.
Sure.
He was down, right? But never out, because he's Jordan Weissman. That doesn't work that way, right? So he's down. He's got an idea for a mobile game, and the head of Bungie says, "Hey, Jordan wants to make a game. We're trying to learn mobile. Why don't we pay you to produce the game?" He's got this crappy little office that's in a storeroom of another game studio. Like, we called it the closet. Jordan and I were in the closet together. And, Jordan's got a couple of developers, and he's trying to get something going again.
Sure.
And he's got an idea for a game. Just go make it. We'll pay you to make the game. Like, okay, great, sure. So I met with Jordan on a Friday. He gives me the pitch for the game. It's a 2-slide PowerPoint deck. And I'm like, oh, that's Mech Commander at sea. Yeah, let's make that. I know how to make that. He's like, yeah, of course you know how to make that. And so that's my big dog. And so we start Monday.
Okay.
And so, excuse me a minute.
It's all right.
Now you're going to hear my dog eating while we talk. So, yeah, we start Monday, and they gave us 10 weeks to make the game. It was a bet. The head of Bungie bet Jordan that he couldn't make like the AAA equivalent of a mobile game in 10 weeks. And Jordan's like, I don't know how we're going to do this. I said, we're just going to fucking do it. We just do it.
Yeah.
Right? That was us. And so we just started crunching from like day one, just go, go, go. Yeah, we started with 12-hour days, and then it got higher, and I remember his wife, Dawn, saying to me, like, day one, she said, she was laughing at me. She said, "Oh, are you here to make the impossible game with Jordan?" I said, "Impossible, huh? Watch this." And we just went, and I produced and designed, and Jordan designed and produced. It was sort of Lennon-McCartney sort of thing.
And is this just you two, or is there anybody else?
He already had a few people.
Okay.
2 of whom are still with the company to this day.
Okay.
Right. Which is awesome, right? We brought in a designer from another company. They didn't have much for him to do, so we borrowed him from another company and kept him, and he's still at the company. So technically 3 people,
gotcha.
Right? Just from day one, there were only 2. But yeah, so cool. And we just started making, and he would just design too much, and I would cut it. And like, he'd come back from lunch, and I'd say, "Hey, by the way, I cut one of your features while you were out at lunch." He's like, "That's okay. I came up with 2 more." And then and I'd look at the feature and go, "Yeah, we should do that." And they would say, but the cool thing about it was I was being paid by Bungie.
Yeah.
So I wasn't reporting to him.
To create this mobile game that you basically said as, oh, that's Mech Commander 3. Like,
it's called Mech Commander at Sea.
Oh, at sea.
Crimson Steam Pirates.
Okay. That makes sense.
Right?
Okay.
Look it up. The trailer's online. Crimson Steam Pirates. I love that game. It was fun. And so, yeah, we just did it.
I remember this game.
I love that game. That was so fun. Because you got to remember, when I left Microsoft, I was mostly dealing with vice presidents and general managers. And here was a chance to just make. That game was just joy.
Did you guys have that awesome like YouTube video of that dude? It was like, oh, you like boats or something? That reminds me of, was that? I don't know. Anyways.
I don't remember that.
So you guys made Crimson
Steam Pirates.
Steam Pirates. I'm looking at an image. I've actually seen this. I know what it is, but it's a mobile game, obviously.
Yeah.
And wow. So Bungie
got me and Jordan together, and about halfway through the 10-week development period, Jordan just turns to me one time, and we were so close together that you had to turn and walk sideways to go to the bathroom. There was no water in our office. I mean, literally, it was a closet. I'm not exaggerating. It was a closet.
Yeah.
but big enough for like 8 people. It was a big storage closet,
Yeah.
and we crammed 13 in when all was said and done. And you could, well, actually 4 people came out. Yeah, and so you couldn't move, and so it was easy to have a meeting.
Yeah,
because we would just lean over and
yeah.
whisper. We would just whisper to each other. And I remember I was standing next to his desk, and he said, "You want to just stay together and be partners and make a game company?" Because I had told him years before, I said, "I will never, ever work for you, right? I'm just warning you now, I'll never work for you, okay? I'll be your partner, but I'm never going to work for you. I'm just warning you." It's like, okay. And so he's like, "You want to stay together and be partners?" I'm like, "Sure." I mean, we were having so much fun. He's like, "What do you want to call the company?" I said, "I don't know. What you got?" He says, "Actually, I own a bunch of URLs. Every time I come up with an idea for a name for something, I just buy the URL.
Buy the domain, yeah.
And so he said, "I got one called this. I got one called Hairbrain Schemes." I said, "Stop there. That's us." And that's it. Hairbrain Schemes was created like just pulling it out of our asses.
So Bungie was basically a publisher at that point. I mean, really, because they paid us.
Right. No, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, because I mean,
they published it.
Yeah, because they hired another game studio to develop the game, and then
wow. It was called Bungie Aerospace was the label, right? They were getting into, mobile development. They stayed in it for a little while longer
before Activision came around. Now,
that's
Activision,
right.
And then now they left Activision. Funny enough, full circle. Right, how things roll, I guess. It's funny you mentioned, and this is something that I think some players and fans always don't understand is feature cuts. Like you have your overall picture of what you want, but the reality is some things have to be cut because of the scope, whether it's too much resources involved or, hey, we've been play testing this, it just doesn't fit, and I was going to get into that when it comes to some of the future stuff, but that's just a normal. That happens all the time.
Oh, yeah. There's full games on a cutting room floor, it seems, Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you're not cutting, that probably means you're going to crunch your team.
Yeah.
Right? There's something we call the iron triangle, right? Time, money, quality. Right? And it's a triangle. So if money is reduced, either quality, that's my dog, either quality is reduced, or time is reduced. Something has to give always.
I think he wants out.
Yeah,
I think I see him. He's
oh, he does. Yeah.
I saw him in the mirror.
Yeah, it's my Great Dane. He's a big boy. Thanks.
So the triangle. So, I've never heard of that reference.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's like game development sort of 101 stuff.
Gotcha.
Is you've got to understand the iron triangle.
Sure.
You got to understand it exists. Okay. So yeah, we cut features all the time. You got to, because game developers are never short of ideas.
Yeah, your imagination will just keep going.
Yeah.
And why don't we do this?
We call feature creep. You've heard this term before,
yep.
Right? And I mean, I deal with this every single day.
Sure.
And because the people I work with are brilliant, right? And all they want to do is make the best game that they possibly can. Because you're working on a game for 2.5, 3 years of your life. And if you want that time to mean something, you want to make something of quality, right? So you do your best. You go, this would be cool. This would be cool. And it's my job to go, that is cool. We're not doing it.
With that straight face. That's a fantastic idea. No.
Oh yeah. But the thing is with the crew that I have now, who I adore, right? I just think they're such great game developers. I don't need to say that really anymore.
Sure.
I did today, but anyway, but they know about scope. They self-manage them. Like, I got an idea, but it's out of scope. We shouldn't cut anything to get this or whatever. And we just have a way of talking, in a way of developing this game. It's like, that's a great idea, but it's not test friendly. Yeah. To make that, it's going to take twice the number of testers to make that. That's not good return on investment.
We're just going to shelve that, and who knows, maybe down the road. Okay, so Destiny basically publishes it. You guys come out with this a mobile game. Obviously, at this point in time, Piranha Games has announced Mechwarrior Online. They have the license from Microsoft. It was some of the coolest. I remember I think it was 2009, they released three 3-second clips over a period of like 3 days, and it was their pitch for trying to find a publisher. Right, and it was the Warhammer walking through, and it was from the perspective of the parking garage, and someone had noticed the Davian sunburst, and everyone goes. That's how we started our podcast. We were playing a mod called Living Legends, and we were like, "Oh my god, what does this mean? What is this?"
Oh my god!
Yeah. So, Mechwarrior Online was announced. How was that for you guys? I mean, because
Jordan was involved a little bit with Russ.
Okay.
Right. I think he was consulting with Russ. I don't remember exactly what the relationship was, but he was trying to help Russ get Microsoft to publish it for a while there. I was involved with that briefly and stuff like that. Just wrong time and place for Microsoft, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. But how was that? You know, it's sort of like, here's the way, in my experience, game developers behave, which I love. It is an incredibly competitive industry. It's ridiculously competitive because, you know, when we put out, just as an example of how competitive it is, when we put out Shadowrun Returns in 2013, I think 750 games came out on Steam that year, right? When we put out BattleTech on Steam, right, 12,000 came out on Steam.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is super competitive because everything competes against it. It's not like within your genre. You're just competing against people's time, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I love about game developers. In my experience, game developers aren't competitive, right? The market is competitive, but everybody wants everybody else to do well. You know, when a game developer does a layoff or closes, it's pain for all of us. Right?
Because that could be you. Because that,
without a doubt. Without a doubt, it could be you. And it probably was you last time. You know what I mean? And, you know, there but for the grace of God go I sort of thing. So that's one of the coolest things about being a game developer is just appreciating each other's games, wanting everybody to do well, and hoping everybody sells all their games. You know, that's really cool. But it ain't, but, you know.
So
it's pretty rough.
2012, you guys do this. You decide Shadowrun. You guys knock it out of the park with that. You do DLCs for that. When did the idea of doing a BattleTech IP, Mechwarrior IP game creep in? What was that like behind the scenes?
From the very beginning. The way it worked was this. Once we decided that we were partners, we had a third partner, by the way, our kind of a silent partner, silent for most people, named Joe D'Annunzio, and he was our CFO. He called him, his business card said, the adult in the room, right? He used to stop.
He's the money guy. Right.
Well, yes. He was the dollars and cents guy. It's like, you can't do that, guys. You don't have money for that. We go, fuck it, let's go. There was a lot of that. Joe's a brilliant guy. But we formed the company, and Jordan, you know, being a really generous guy, he's a ridiculously generous person. He's just like, okay, I've made a lot of companies. Mitch, what do you want to do with this one? You know, and I remember we were crammed into this conference room in somebody else's game company that we were borrowing space from. And I said, here's what I want to do. I want to find a niche audience, right? And make stuff for them. And that's okay. You know what I mean? I don't need to get rich. I need to make games. And I want enough money that I can just keep making the next game and make a decent living. That's fine. But I was never after money. That's never been my motivator. Let's just find a small audience that will keep giving us money and that we could monetize deeply. Forgive me for the corporate fuckery, but you know, it was just like, look, they'll give us, you know, like Crusader Kings 3. I think if you buy all the DLC for Crusader Kings 2, you'll spend $500, right? That's what I was looking for. Like,
if you make something good, they'll buy it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And it's just our audience. That's what I was after. And we wanted BattleTech, but Microsoft wouldn't license it to us at the time. They would license Shadowrun. And what happened there it was a confluence of things. The publisher for our second mobile title said, "Hey, want to make a Shadowrun game? I'd love to make a Shadowrun game with you." He was my marketing guy on the Shadowrun first-person shooters. Like, when do you want to do Shadowrun? That same week that he said we should do Shadowrun, who was it? Kotaku came out with, here's a top 10 list of games we wish would come back. And number 5 was Shadowrun.
Sure.
I was just like, And then I saw Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I remember our chief technical officer at the time, he was the one who showed me Kickstarter. It's like, look, you can do all these cool things and stuff. There were no video games at the time. And I'm just looking at it, and my eyes got kind of twinkly. He's like, no. I remember he was really like, don't, because
he knew.
Insane.
Yeah.
Because he knew how insane it would be. And it was completely insane. And that's why 2012, 2013, that was my favorite year of my life, because it was stupidly exciting.
And it was stupidly successful. I mean,
Yeah, it did great. Yeah, it did great.
I mean,
yeah, it was fun.
And being sort of I want to say front runner, but especially at that time, I mean, early on in Kickstarter, I mean, the success.
It was the first Kickstarter video game to ship.
Yeah, like I remember, I mean, and there's been a few that followed since, like Darkest Dungeon and so forth and so on. So yeah, you guys definitely set the bar of what, we
wanted to go first so that people, they wouldn't compare our game to another game. They would compare another game to us.
So let me ask you something, and you don't have to answer this, but was it bittersweet, or was it a little bit of pain, and maybe answer for Jordan as well, selling the IP and then wanting to do it in something you created, or maybe not necessarily you, but you were part of all that, and not just being able to just do what you want? I mean, I don't mean to can you just describe that?
Yeah, I can. Jordan is not a bitter person, right? He's not a negative person. He's like, it's complicated.
Sure.
He sold it, he bought it back, then he sold it again, or whatever. It changed hands multiple times. It's goofy, and Weissman business deals are never clean. They're very creative, and no, I never got the sense of bitterness or anything like that. It's like, yeah, I made my bed, I'm going to lie in it, sort of thing. But maybe we can get it. When we did Shadowrun, and, Microsoft Game Studios, specifically Phil Spencer, supported us by making sure we got this license. Phil's a great guy. And we got that, and we did right by it. And when we said, hey, we want BattleTech, the response was, and it was so sweet. It's like, you guys were great stewards of the franchise for Shadowrun. Yes, of course you can have BattleTech. Yeah. A license for it. And he gave us a really good deal on it and everything, because we're just this little baby company.
Sure.
So he gave us a good deal too. And I think we were really well treated by Microsoft that way.
Gotcha.
Which is a really nice thing to be able to say, because I was the angry young man, and I had, I had a rough time at Microsoft. Sure. And yet, still the relationships you develop and stuff mean something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a big fan.
Well, and your failures help you grow, and you grew a lot and you learned a lot. And then that shows, I'm sure, in your professional relationships with these individuals, even later on.
Oh, it absolutely does. And I'm still friends with a lot of people at Microsoft Game Studios. Yeah. Boy, there's talent there. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. Oh God.
Okay.
Talent. So
what made the decision, or did you already have a design decision in mind, and why didn't it? Was it because of your Shadowrun and you guys were doing turn-based strategy and that led to you? Was that, it was like, why Ryan? You already had all that pipeline with your people, and they knew.
Not exactly, no, but we had developed, turn-based tactical thinking.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. There was no pipeline. There was no nothing. We built everything from scratch again.
Sure. I meant the pipeline of your people are used to that game design.
Yeah, but more than that, yes, there's that, and because it goes back to the roots of BattleTech. BattleTech is a turn-based game.
Sure.
That's what it is, right?
Sure.
And, we did not have people with skills in real time, sort of Twitch-based game. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
And Mechwarrior Online already had that.
Yeah.
And the license that we could get was for turn-based. We didn't have the license to do anything we wanted.
Sure.
Because, Piranha already had that.
Yeah.
But we could do this, and we already were doing that kind of thing. And frankly, that was our mentality. It was like, no, I want to sit and think about this turn.
Sure.
I want to weigh my options and then hit execute,
Sure.
fire or whatever. So that's how that happened.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
but we did BattleTech because we were able to do BattleTech.
Sure.
We would have done BattleTech. What is it called? Golem Arcana would have been BattleTech if we could have gotten the license.
Gotcha. And I guess a very important question: why not Mech Commander?
Well, because of the same reason. It's real time. We didn't have the license.
Gotcha.
I could have called BattleTech Mech Commander 3 turn-based, but that would have been a lie, or Mech Commander Tactics.
I had to ask. Oh God, yeah. Mechwarrior Tactics.
No, Mech Commander Tactics.
Yeah,
but done that. And that's why you don't, right?
Remember that?
You're very sensitive. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, when we did the Kickstarter for BattleTech, a lot of effort, my personal effort, went into saying, but we're not Mechwarrior Tactics. A
lot of people
convincing people to trust us.
Yeah, a lot of people missed that, I guess. Some of them did. It was very awkward to be in our position because at the time, I think it was Roadhouse Interactive, and they were super nice, but there was this disconnect. I know, and I have a point to this. There was this disconnect, I think, from knowing your actual audience. Like they wanted to do this 4v4 Lance and 3D, basically tabletop representation. Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Then also introduce these card systems. Okay, I can sort of see. Okay, you're getting a little out of the wheelhouse, but then the artwork was so off-putting, and I remember just thinking, don't be shallow. If the game's good, it's good, but the artwork was cartoony, kit bashy, like it didn't. And obviously, the project never it failed and went away. But I wanted to ask you. Was part of that a reason why you guys had a collaboration with PGI as far as artwork and having the same look across? Because throughout the history of Mech Commander, Mechwarrior 3, 2, mechs did fundamentally look different too.
Yeah, it was never dialed in. There was no real Bible for battle.
Yeah, no, there wasn't.
This is what it looks like.
Right.
The reason we got in bed with PGI that way, or with Piranha Games, was two reasons. One, we wanted the look of BattleTech. If we were coming out at the same time where they already existed, we thought one universe. That was a big deal. But there's another very practical reason. They had all the mechs.
It was already done.
It was already done.
Yeah.
We would be idiots. And it was simple because Russ is a great guy, and we just had a conversation. It was a business relationship, but it wasn't challenging business relationship. Yeah. And they sent us all the stuff, and we animated things like Melee and stuff like that. But it was a tremendous leg up for us, right? Or else we would have had to build all those damn mechs. Yeah. Oh my God, we would not have been able to ship without that deal.
Sure.
Right? There's no way we would have been able to ship the game.
And Alex Iglesias, especially at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Great
work. Yeah, and shout out to also Anthony Scroggins and other artists from Catalyst now that...
Without a doubt.
Now, but back then, I mean, he was the premier BattleTech commission artist for fans and for Catalyst and...
Deeply talented.
Yeah, hands down. Okay, I just wondered, I mean, obviously it makes sense from outside looking in, like across the board, you have now products that are...
It's a win-win.
Okay. So obviously,
everybody wins.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
We never thought of anybody as competition, right?
Gotcha.
It's just like we all love BattleTech. Can't we just support each other?
It all wins because I don't know how many people have watched me play BattleTech, and then I'll be streaming Mechwarrior Online, and they'll be like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? It's been out for years. What do you like? How do you not know?" It's like, "Oh, well, because they saw BattleTech on Steam, and then they bought it on Steam, or they saw some like." It's all fans across the board. Cross promotion is great. I 100% agree. Like hands down. So you guys you got the license. You guys were going to focus on, and I was a part of watching the development process with you guys across the board. And of course, me and Darren in the past did podcasts with you guys.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Like, again, McCain and Jordan Wiseman and all of your designers and producers and engineers over the period of the time. I want to just sort of let you, like, I think you guys captured the storytelling and how the player experiences that fantastic with the 2D moving artwork.
Yep.
The sound, the dialogue, and then you've got the protagonist and an antagonist and like all these things. You guys did such a good job that I don't think, I mean, no one's ever really done that in the sense of I don't
think anybody's really tried.
That's true. Yeah. I think it's fair. Yeah.
And we wanted to, if you go back and look at the Kickstarter video, right? And I was exhausted when we did that video because I had just shipped Shadowrun Hong Kong and I had been crunching my ass off. But I probably looked like hell. But when it got to me and Jordan's like, hey, I'm Jordan Weissman, we're going to do BattleTech. And then, hi, I'm Mike McCain and blah, blah, blah. And then they get to the little old man. When they pan over to me, I'm just like, I'm in it for the lore, right? That was my part. It's like, look, I'm in it for the lore. Let me take you back. BattleTech is about blah, blah, blah. That's what I cared about. Remember, giant robots are stupid, right? I've mentioned that. Yeah. I no longer believe that, by the way. That's the interesting thing about it. Over time, I came to love BattleTech, right? And because of the story, right? The reason why people mount up and get into a mech, what they're fighting for and stuff like that. That's when this is BattleTech to me, especially, back in the early days, 2020 or 3025 era, when it was Game of Thrones in space, and that just appealed to me so much. Yeah. And McCain also, he loved that. As a matter of fact, it was McCain who said to us, guys, this is Game of Thrones in space. Like, yeah, it is. It was McCain who said that. Like, that's right. Let's make that.
Yeah.
McCain drove so much.
Yeah.
McCain was the game director. Brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. He did great work on that.
The artwork was fantastic.
He was also the art director.
The characters were fantastic. Like, you actually have one thing I really like about it, and whoever came up with the Argo idea, brilliant, because it gives, from a design, it gives you so many options. But like
designer Kiva McGinn,
shout out, because that's brilliant, and we hadn't really ever thought about it, like, and being able to upgrade and then also talk to. You get to know your engineer. You can walk down and ask him, like, a little bit of dialogue, and you actually get a connection with them, and that's fantastic. Like, your CO sort of, or your XO sort of, like her attitude, and you're just like,
that,
or like, your guy dropping you in the middle of a firefight. It's like, yeah, you can even give us better info, and you get those connections.
Thanks.
And the protagonist and antagonist throughout the story, I mean, it's history. I mean, I was literally just talking to Pardo about this, which was, we repeat history all over, and it's as cliche
history
it is.
Rhymes.
Uncle, betrays family. It's because it's real. It happens. Power and power vacuum, and I felt like I should have been the one in control, and well, now it's my turn, and I'm gonna, like,
yeah.
So you guys executed that, and of course, you brought back something that people have been wanting for years. Albeit, I will say, it has its place, and that's Melee. You were able to bring something to fans that have wanted that type of interaction and that sort of.
That was Jordan. Jordan was so excited about Melee. It's like, it's turn-based. We could do Melee.
Do it. Right?
Jordan was so excited about that.
Yeah.
It was really fun. And of course, I was into the Death from Above.
Yeah.
That it was all about Death from Above for me.
Well, and during this time frame, the Lord Commander, you began this process, and that was with Hyper Rabbit Go. Hyper.
Yeah.
And you guys were doing Death from Above.
Yeah.
Which By the way, there's been nothing like that. You guys were doing some. I was super jealous. Me and Darren were actually. I mean, Darren got to be on
Darren
it.
was on it. Yeah.
I know. I couldn't be, but like
I
what
wrote
you
a
guys.
good part for him too.
I was so jealous, but so why did you guys create your own space? As far as, why didn't you just use like Wolf Dragoons, or was it because you felt like it was too constricted, like their story's already been told, so you couldn't do your own thing?
There's a very simple reason. The world of fandom is harsh.
Sure.
And if you start playing in, hardcore BattleTech, hardcore Star Wars, hardcore Star Trek, anywhere where there's a lot of lore, the lore masters are going to be up your ass constantly. Nope, you got that wrong. Nope, you got that wrong. That's why. It's like, no, it's better. So there are two reasons. That's one. You sort of create your own sort of area, carve out your own area that you can touch all of the lore as you see fit, but you can tell your own story without worrying about that is not how the Battle of Tukey went, or whatever it is, right? So you don't have to read every book and commit it to memory,
Gotcha.
the way some people do. That's why, right? That's one reason. The other reason is what you saw in Death from Above mirrored what we were doing in the BattleTech game. Nobody realized it at the time, that you were a mercenary traveling around the periphery. We were playing around with those ideas on Death from Above and pulling them in,
Sneaky
or they were cross-pollinating.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's sneaky.
That's why.
That's great.
Cheers.
Yeah, that was.
It's working. Okay, frankly, it was a second job. So while we're making BattleTech, I'm writing 2 shows a week on that thing.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah. Oh man. Well.
And performing for like 9 hours a week. That was a brutal schedule.
Yeah, I don't envy anybody that has to play a character for that long. Yeah, so
screw it.
So obviously we watched the development process. I don't think any of us, I think we were all part of that for the most part, going back. And if you haven't, all those videos are still available out there that you guys had. I guess was there something that got a feature, or was there something that you guys had to cut that you ultimately felt would have been the icing on the cake? Was there anything that you wish?
Not icing on the cake. I get it. Yeah, there was a major feature that we couldn't do that we wanted to, and that we had done some prototype work, but it just time, money, blah blah blah, iron triangle. Yeah. They were called commander abilities or something like that, and we wanted to be able to call in airstrikes and do sort of Mech Commander type stuff, Spencer Probe, whatever they were. We had that stuff we wanted to do, and ultimately we left that on the cutting room floor. Gotcha. So that's one that that would have been nice to have. Sure. More verbs is always good.
Yeah. Well, and then
more verbs complicates game development like a mother.
Sure. And then obviously you got to look at some of we talked about features and some of the things being cut. But you guys introduced a lot of those in DLCs, right? So some of the things that about the Kickstarter and you the DLCs, in my opinion, from the initial game launch to the end, elevated the game and it got better and better. I mean,
that was our intention, yeah.
From performance of the game to what you're able to do, or what you're able to interact with. I just felt like it was a really good across the board. Flashpoints added exactly what was needed to the project, because it's like mini campaigns and story and
and it turns out that's that big long sprawling story campaign, that's fun. These little stories are very empowering, and you can take them in. I'm really proud of those. I'm real proud of those. And Andrew McIntosh, who wrote all of those, and wrote the BattleTech mainline story and wrote the last 2 Shadowrun games with me. He's absolutely brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, it was, I don't know. I'm still, how has it been keeping up with the mod scene? I mean, Do you understand? It's like full. They just added tanks. I don't know if you know the playable tanks.
No, no. The truth is, I'm checked out right now because
Okay.
I am up my own ass with this new game I'm making,
Yeah.
and plus running the company from home. It's like pretty much every waking
Yeah.
hour is like I can't think, I can't
Sure.
look.
Sure.
You know.
Well, they've taken what you guys have done. There's been sort of branch offs where you've got like
Yeah,
super does everything, rogue tech it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And you got some that are like, okay, yeah, we like this, we like that, and it's sort of the middle ground. And then you've got some like, oh, this is more towards what just like lore or table, like a little bit.
Well, that
less.
really makes me happy, man, because if you remember, the last thing that we shipped was as much mod support as we could do.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. That's the way I wanted to leave BattleTech. I wanted to leave it in Mechwarrior hands.
Sure.
And that was sort of, for lack of a better word, like my personal like final gift to BattleTech. Like, here you go, it's yours now.
Yeah. You guys were up on
It was
Steam.
a big deal.
Do you guys? I mean, when you guys launched on Steam, I remember it being in the top 10, not just like 1 week. I mean, it was a while. Like you guys did really. I mean, so it did well enough. I don't know when the talks were and how it started. So correct me if I'm wrong, but BattleTech did well enough, and you guys did. The game was successful. Probably, I don't know if you'd say more than you thought it would be, but Paradox came into the picture somewhere, and you guys started talking behind the scenes, or at least Jordan and you and with Paradox of saying like, hey, we really like what you guys are doing. Can you talk a little bit about that at all? Like how that relationship
Paradox
started?
is our publisher.
Sure.
Right. Because the truth is, Kickstarter can only take, we had a little war chest where we could make some of the game, but not all of the game.
Sure.
And so we went to Kickstarter to get the rest.
Sure.
Right. And then, of course, our eyes are always bigger than our stomachs. And so we needed a publisher to help us finish it. And so that's how we got in bed with Paradox. They gave us some extra money so we can finish the game the way we wanted to. And as we're working with them, we realized, we kind of like these guys. Normally, I don't like publishers. And I'm not afraid to tell them how much I don't like them. I'm not really kind that way. But I like these guys. Okay. Everybody we met, from Mullen, our marketing manager, to Ash, our producer, etc. They were all just cool. They were good people. They cared. They didn't get in our way. They were there to help.
Yeah.
And as we're going, it's like, and we were looking around for investors to build ourselves into more of a publishing house. Okay. So we could self-publish and market our own stuff. And we got the money that we needed. We had, contracts ready to sign. And Paradox, like, well, or you could become a member of our family. Sure. And sign this piece of paper instead of this piece of paper.
Sure.
And so we signed that one.
Yeah.
Because they already had we didn't need to develop our own marketing team and our own sales team and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Our own localization, whatever.
It's already done.
It's already done.
Yeah.
Like, sign that.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's where we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you guys, the last DLC, the last patch, mods, you talked about that. I remember that specific patch. You guys have moved on. And as far as I know, because this is only I know, you guys are working on 2 projects, 2 games. Right. They are not BattleTech IP. So just to be clear and to clarify for everybody out there, the games you're not going to talk about, is there any like info what's already public out there to anybody? Is there anything?
No.
Okay, so there's nothing. Okay, cool.
No, both Jack and nothing.
Gotcha. Okay, just to be clear, because I didn't know, I just figured I'd ask.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I appreciate you asking.
Would with HBS and you, is there any chance that you guys come back to the BattleTech IP?
The one thing that I've learned, especially with BattleTech, is you never say never. I think, what have I made? Like 5 or 6 BattleTech games, and I didn't want to make the first one. You never say never.
Okay. Yeah,
right. I'm not dumb enough to do that.
That was one of the questions I asked the community, and that was one of the things. Of course, they're going to ask, like, are you guys coming back or whatever? Yeah. Okay. I mean, so you guys have moved on. If if someone wants to be up to date with what you guys are doing and whenever any news breaks, where do they just follow Harebrained Schemes on like Twitter or like?
Yeah, I would suggest that Harebrained Schemes on Twitter. It's called at We Be Harebrained.
Okay.
Yeah, do that. You can follow me at Mitch Git.
Okay.
And follow Paradox Interactive and stuff. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a while before we have something to announce, though.
Totally understand. It's everything. I mean, how long did it take you guys to get that workflow going from in office to being at home? How was that?
Instantly.
Instantly?
Yeah, the reason why is there was a major snowstorm in Seattle in December of last year, and we learned how to work from home then because we were locked down, at home for like a week. You couldn't get out of my driveway. It was that bad. And so our IT manager, Harold, just took care of it.
Wow.
And he did a great job. And so when it was time to lock down, it's like, all right, we're going to go lock down. Then we had to learn how to work extended from home. That's a challenge, but we were ready to go. We just instantly turned the key and went.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've taken plenty of your time. I've always wanted to know some of those answers, and like,
oh sure.
I feel like whenever the time comes, I would like to have you on again to talk about the things that can't be talked about.
Well, you know where to find me. It's not like I can go anywhere. No. Look, you reached out. You said, hey, let's talk. And I said, yes. So don't worry about it. There's never going to be a no there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Also, appreciate the pictures of MechCon with my internet dad.
Yeah,
so
that was hysterical. Man, I look old in those pictures. Those were frightening.
MechCon. If there was another MechCon, would you guys be interested in going, hanging out?
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, why wouldn't we? Yeah. I'll tell you something. I love BattleTech fans. Yeah. I really do. I love MechCon. I looked forward every year to going to MechCon. I think BattleTech fans are awesome, and no, I'd definitely hang. Kidding?
Gotcha. All
absolutely.
Right. One last question.
All right.
One last question.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite whiskey?
Probably right now, Michter's bourbon. Michters. Michter's. Look it up.
All right, will do.
Yeah.
Mitch, thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's a pleasure talking to you. Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, I'll have all of your social stuff down below in the videos so people can find you, and HBS as well. I look forward to talking to you in the near future about, again, the things.
It's just nice to talk about BattleTech again. I had a lot of fun, so thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and I will talk to you later. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Did you enjoy this podcast with Mitch? Man, that was fantastic. Again, being able to ask those questions to him directly, it's something that's been in the back of my mind for literally years, because I had no idea how he got involved with, at the time, Mech Commander and BattleTech and his relationship with Jordan. So that was fantastic. If you found this just as equally as fantastic, smash that like button right now. If you are new here and you like this kind of thing, these podcasts, these videos, these interviews, and our stream, which I stream Monday through Friday at twitch.tv/NGNGTV, 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern. If you like this thing, make sure to click that subscriber button, that little bell notification if you want to know when a new video goes live. More often than not, though, make sure to join us on Discord. I'll have all of the links down below. Discord's a great way to interact with the community that we have here to talk about stuff, whether it's BattleTech, Mechwarrior, Catalyst Game Labs, Piranha Games, so forth and so on. So make sure to check out all those links. And of course, this podcast is supported by you, the viewer, the listener. Literally, guys, I'm the only one here. This is my full-time gig. This is my full-time job. This is my career. And I just want to say thank you again for all of you guys for supporting, listening, liking, comment, all of that stuff. It's fantastic. If you guys want to support, consider becoming one of my Twitch subscribers. Of course, just to let you guys know, I get half of that $5 tier 1 sub. So just so you sort of guys know, the rates out there, I get 60% of the tier 2 and I get 70% of the tier 3 sub on Twitch. But more importantly, I just want to stress how important it is. If you guys like this, what is my content worth to you? If you find this informative, if you have the ability, consider also becoming one of my patrons. Maybe you want to sponsor a podcast, or maybe you just want to just support me every single month for what I do here. Consider becoming a patron. Again, the cost of a cup of coffee goes a long way, and this is, again, my full-time thing, being able to put food and electricity and all that in my household, so just want to say thank you. If you're going to be doing any shopping on Amazon, I have an associate link. If you're wondering what that is, basically, when you click through it and buy stuff, I get kickbacks. I'll have a few, of course, links down below, but it's down there as well. And if you guys use that affiliate associate link for that last novel as well, I get kickbacks when you guys buy stuff. So consider that. No pressure. If you're not able to, never apologize. Just want to make that clear. Just want to say thank you again for hanging out. Quick shout out to my subscribers, my viewers, my patrons. You guys are awesome again. And I hope you found this a podcast informative, interesting, fun. And for me, again, I look forward to doing that again. We've got some more guests coming up very, very soon. So make sure to stay tuned on Discord for more information. This was your local No Guts, No Galaxy Mechwarrior podcast. Signing off for tonight. This is Phil. Until next time, Mech Warriors.